Welcome to How Women Inspire. My guest today is Gayle Jennings O'Byrne. She's the CEO of Walkstar Capital and co-founder of the Walkstar Fund. This is an early stage venture fund that invests in the future of consumption and innovation using a female arbitrage strategy. I don't know about you, but I can't wait to hear even more about that. I have to admit, Gayle is one of those people that she's everybody's favorite. And so if you're just listening to this on earbuds or something, I'm interviewing her today and she's got this fabulous hat on, which she is known for. So we're going to have a lot of fun today. Gayle was named the 10 women changing the landscape of leadership. Think about that. 10 women changing the landscape of leadership by the New York Times in March 2021. And here's another award, one of the top Black venture capitalists by Business Insider in February 2024, just a little bit ago. This is a new accolade. And top 10 women of influence in venture capital by the Venture Capital Journal in July 2022. She has such a beautiful background and story. We're going to have so much fun talking to her, but I just want you to lean into what it means to be named as the top 10 in the United States. In the United States or world, Gayle?
United States.
Yeah, it's really amazing. So she teaches at Walkstar Academy. She's the co-founder of Ally Capital Collab, an initiative to tackle systemic underinvestment in women of color fund managers. Gayle has just an amazing background with over 30 years of Wall Street technology, philanthropy, training, and professional speaking experience. And she's a former M&A banker at JP Morgan. What a gift to be able to spend time with you today. Thank you for being a guest on this podcast.
Well, thank you. The gift is I get to talk to you and your community of amazing people that are really the ones on the ground doing the work. So,
well, this is an unbelievably amazing, loving community of people who are trying to collectively work together to move the needle. But
yeah.
you are the kind of woman who gives everybody hope. You know, you make us all feel like anything's possible, and your background and experience is so stellar. What an amazing thing for all of us to know this is what a venture capitalist looks like. This is what it looks like and what the results are when we invest in women in capital. Okay, before we get into all that nerdy stuff, because I know you can nerd out with me, but would you tell us, like, what is that song, that your walk-on song, or the song you listen to on the days when you need a little boost or you want to celebrate?
Oh my gosh, it changes every day. So today I was jogging along the Hudson River in Soho, New York, and it was the song by Kelly Clarkson, Stronger.
Yeah.
And it just, yeah, it gave me that extra little boost I needed. Talking about how, like, you can't break us. I'm going to be stronger
Yeah.
even if you're not here.
Gail,
Yeah.
is there something that you would say, like, disclose whatever you want, of course, but like, what is it? When do you need to whip out that Kelly Clarkson song? When does what's going on in the world where you feel like, is it the world, or is it the work, or the trying to convince people to get it?
Yeah, I pull it in a lot for various reasons. Sometimes it's because I feel that our community of women entrepreneurs are kind of hidden and invisible. And so it just gives me that little oomph to get the day going.
Yeah.
Sometimes the no's hit a little harder than other days. And
Yeah.
so it's a good song to pull out then.
I know they say theoretically we're supposed to like understand you need so many no's, or you're not putting yourself out there enough, but it does not feel good when you're like, wait, how is that? Why are you, how could you say no? Right?
Yeah, and listen, if we're really honest, some of them just hit a little harder sometimes. And
Yeah.
it could just be the day, it could be because you didn't get, I didn't get any sleep the night before, and
Sure.
then you
Sure.
get that call and it just
The
sort of,
human stuff. The
yeah,
human
just sort of
stuff.
lands a little harder. But it's still the no, right? And
Yeah.
so you do have to go back and remember that it's not about yourself, and there's probably other factors involved.
My daughter, or son, they're looking for another opportunity or whatever, and they get the no, and you're just like, oh, you never know what's going on behind the scenes, but when it hits you, it's not easy. Can you share with us sort of what does Walkstar stand for? And maybe why did you start it? What's the history, the story?
Sure. So I'll start with the history, and then from the history, we'll get to the naming of it. So I'm the product of a Black woman from the South who benefited from the desegregation that happened. They had to fight for the desegregation to happen in the schools there in Southeast Missouri at the time. And she went on to then, like the women in the movie Hidden Figures, they were working on the space shuttle, and they were called computers, and they were using IBM mainframes and Fortran and COBOL software. She was doing similar at McDonnell Douglas on the F-15 fighter plane and the DC-10, which is kind of the grandfather, the grandmother, jumbo jet that we're all flying around in today. And so I grew up with this mother, Thelma Bataille, who was an early trailblazer in technology and computers. And that brought us to Silicon Valley. And so I grew up just seeing amazing women, underrepresented people, LGBTQ members that were working in Silicon Valley. And so I just didn't know otherwise.
Yeah.
And then I started to hear the stories of different innovations by women of color that we're all benefiting from. So think about the caller ID and the call waiting on your phone, the fiber optics cables that are allowing this Zoom call to record and, the visual and the audio. There's some fiber optic cables are allowing you to pull money out of an ATM and helping all those billions of dollars move around the world. And CCTV camera, Black women in Queens invented. And so I just seen all of that. But then when I got to the work world, starting in Silicon Valley myself, and then 20 plus years on Wall Street, I didn't see it. And I didn't see people appreciating it or investing in it. So I did like any good girl did. I went the career route and worked my way up the corporate ladder. And then I had a brush with death. I got diagnosed with cancer in my eye, and I was scared, right? As one do when they get that call. And so I made a deal with God, and if I got off the operating table, regardless if I had an eye or eyesight, but if I got off the operating table, I wanted to live differently with some purpose in life. And I did, and I went into remission, and I'm healthy, and I said, all right, got to keep up my end of the bargain. And as I started to just become, just on this listening tour of where and what my life purpose could be, I just kept coming back to women who were entrepreneurs. And one woman I was talking with, she was afraid about making payroll. And here she was with all these Ivy League degrees, all this corporate experience, her second company, winning pitch competitions. And yet here she was worried about making payroll. And that was a real aha for me that, gosh, the financial markets haven't kept up their end of the bargain, or society hasn't kept up their end of the deal, right? We tell people to go to school, get education, get experience, live a honest, good life, contribute to society. And yet we're not there on the other side to meet them when they need us to invest in them. And so that was my aha moment. And so then as I was figuring out my exit from JP Morgan and wanting to get into the venture space where I could invest and support women entrepreneurs, I just kept coming back to, the first word was badass, which I don't think would be a great name for a venture fund, but I kept coming to things like badass, rock stars. And then it was like, oh, women of color stars, rock stars, just be a different way to spell rock stars. And so that's the name of the company, Rock Stars, but we just spell it differently. And now, 5+ years later, some people have asked, well, you do stuff with men, like you truly are about inclusiveness and diversity. And so you haven't excluded men. So do you need to change the name? And I say, no, we're female forward. And you know what? When you set the table with women, guess what? Everyone gets a seat at the table. So no, we don't need to change the name. We know how to be inclusive and include men and others.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Oh my God, you give me chills. And everybody talks about you with so much love and admiration. Gayle, I want everybody who's listening to this, I know you hear it. I know you feel the same thing I'm feeling as we talk to this values-based, beautiful leadership where you really are not only filling a gap in the market and making everybody money, but really finding a way to really meet your purpose. And that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that story and that commitment. And you look fantastic. Would never have known you had that big brush with scariness. So you just said it sort of, you know how to set a table and then everybody gets apart. You really commit to diverse teams. Why is that important? Why is investing in diverse teams so important to you?
Yeah, it truly is a competitive advantage because when you think about the marketplace, it's diverse.
Yeah.
And so if you want products and services and technology and innovation that's solving big market problems, you need people with different experiences, different skill sets, different talent. And if you don't have that, then you're going to be disadvantaged in how you competitively meet the market
Yeah.
demand.
Yeah.
So, listen, being Black and being a woman in America, I can't wake up without being impactful.
Uh,
Good, for
uh,
good or for bad, I'm going to impact something. But listen, if I'm really honest, I like money. I like making money. I like success. I like to be around winners. And so I don't come at this with below market returns, below market expectations. I come at this having been on Wall Street for 20 years and seeing success and wins and profit. Ours just happens to be in the space of female and diverse teams. And
mm,
it's, again, not solely because I'm Black and a woman, it's because I am a investor raised and born through the trenches of JP Morgan, and I know how to invest and how to win and
yep.
how to sell and, companies. So this isn't an impact investment strategy. This truly is female arbitrage in that the markets are disconnected and there's
Yeah.
value in one market and it's not showing up in another. And we're going right in and into that. And part of that is that diverse team because it is truly a competitive advantage.
So so is it the diverse team or is there other things that you're seeing in the market when you look forward at potential economic growth in the next couple of years? I think everybody's looking for the oracle.
Yeah, I think the way to find the oracle is to be a really good observer of people and
Uh-huh.
how they consume, because that's going to tell you so much about where technology is going to be heading, where companies will be building, where investment will flow. And here's a beautiful thing. Women are either influencing or making decisions around 90% of consumption that happens, probably
Yeah.
even higher. Number might be something more like 98. I have to go check it again. So what you wear, what food gets put on the table for your family, what car you might drive, where you vacation, what television shows are watched in your household, women have some probably influence on that. And so
Yeah.
no surprise, they build companies where they see problems around that consumption.
Yeah.
So us investing in consumption is because that's where women see problems and that's where they're solving problems.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if you're looking for that oracle, do like us, follow consumer trends, follow consumer behavior.
I'm not asking for permission anymore. I'm not asking for a seat at the table. My friends, this is the first generation of us. We have a huge opportunity. We have power and influence and wealth. And we can start building the tables where we get the prime seats. Today, we want to invite you to join us as investors in venture. I know no one's asked you to do it before. It might be something that seems scary or foreign, but I promise you it's not that different than investing in a mutual fund where your retirement funds are. I want you to lean in and just learn a little bit more. How about making a commitment that in the next 12 months, you can give yourself 12 months to figure it out and to take a step? I want to invite you to be part of the new table of power and influence and wealth. You're invited. I want to sit at the table with you because we're going to make big change. We're going to make the world we've been dreaming of. Yeah. All right, fantastic. So you have a venture firm and you're talking about making investments in companies founded by women, but you have a couple entities. So how do you think about the different branches to Walkstar, the Academy, Walkstar Media? Can you share a little bit about that?
I can. So the easiest thing would just be to have the venture fund, right? Spend my days on planes and trains going to meet amazing entrepreneurs, listening to great pitches and reading great decks and spending my time in data rooms and doing all this research and then writing checks, right? Like I would get so much more sleep, right? I'd probably have less days if I could just do that. But here's the thing, investing in women, investing in underrepresented entrepreneurs is still such a nascent part of the market that we can't just stop there. So we knew we had to do two other things. One, we had to train our sisterhood, our community, and then we had to make sure there was positive stories out there about our sisterhood. So the Academy was born because during COVID, we were taking a lot of office visits, office hours, and we kept getting sort of two questions: how to raise capital and how to tell my story. So much information out there, so much social media. How do I tell my story and, sort of rise above all the social noise out there? And so my team said, hey, we should try to scale this. What if we did this online? What if we did it as a Zoom, a virtual class? And I kind of resisted at first because bros get checks and women get workshops. And I didn't want to keep doing the workshop thing. I just wanted to get money to the women. But I said, no, you know what? I've got 30 years of insight of how to raise capital. I should share that insight with women because raising capital is hard regardless. It's hard for anyone, male or female. It's not an easy thing. And we're not trained to talk about money in a lot of ways. And then we're not trained to ask for things, right? And ask for help, ask for money. So I said, yeah, you know what we do? We got to take all the insight and knowledge that we have, and we just got to get it out in the world. And Walmart Foundation was great in providing a grant to us, and Ghetto Film School, our partner on the storytelling side, to allow us to do that and to do it for free. So it's a free online course. We do some things in person across the country, but for the most part, we keep it virtual so that people across the country can join the class. But yeah, we had to do that because we wanted to make sure that we were helping people be successful in their raise and how they tell their story. And then Walkstar Media was born because as we, Walkstar, were raising capital for the fund, and I would go out and I would talk to investors, there'd come a point in the meeting where they would sort of look at me with sort of a confused look. And what they were doing was they were trying to formulate a way to be politically correct and not offensive and not insulting, but they were trying to formulate a way to say, are there any Black or brown women in tech that invest in? And when they were, and it was lovely because they were like, you could see the wheels turning in someone's brain trying to figure out a nice way to ask it. And listen, everyone was asking, right? This wasn't a Caucasian male thing, or, people of all walks of life were asking. Even my friends, my girlfriends, and, old college roommates and buddies were asking, right? Everyone's asking. And so I thought, my gosh, I have to start telling these stories like I started at the beginning about the caller ID and the CCTV camera, all inventions by Black women. We've got to get more stories out there. Because when I started to tell those stories and talk about those inventions and the women behind them, then a kind of an aha light would go off. So before, a confused light would come on. Now this aha light would come on. And I thought, it's true. The power of storytelling can connect us as human beings so much quicker and authentically that we've got to help with that problem. Because I believe that part of the reason why the capital isn't flowing to women, to underrepresented entrepreneurs, is because we don't have a human connection. Isn't a trust there. Now, it's one thing to say, listen, I'm not racist, I'm not any kind of ism, and you very well may not be, but you may not have a trust or a true human connection in a way that says, yeah, that's someone or a company or an organization I want to support and invest in and champion. So that's why we started Walkstar Media, that hopefully we can start to get more and more human connected, powerful stories out there.
I think about that as movement building. I mean, you're changing hearts and minds. You're getting people to see a new way of what's possible and pulling back those biased blinders in so many ways.
I think that's right. We did we've invested in 2 Broadway shows so far, supported 2 Broadway shows. And the audiences, and these were Black cast, Black directors, and yet the audiences were so diverse. You would thought like a bus had pulled up from, Oklahoma.
Yeah. So if you were talking to somebody who is an investor or is thinking about investing, how do you help them get to the point where they'll get to that investment? Is it the stories, or what do you say to them, or how do you help them experience or build confidence and get to the point where they'll make an investment in venture?
So it starts with the stories, because again, that, that confusion light bulb goes off where they're like, "Oh, is there anything to invest in? I've just never seen it, so I don't know how to invest in it if I haven't seen it," right? But they're benefiting from that technology all day. So we start there, and then we move very quickly into the economics of it. Listen, we'll cash every check. Most checks, not every check. We'll cash them. But I always tell the team, I said, listen, the investors we want are people that truly identify as investors. If someone comes to this just because they want to rescue women or, they're feeling guilty because of George Floyd or whatever, we should really sit them down and really have a conversation with them. There's
fair weather friends. Yes.
Yeah, there's other ways they can direct that energy.
Mhm.
I said, what we want are people that truly identify as investors, that truly understand the venture arc, the risk reward, and truly believe that this demographic, this sisterhood is investable, is going to be successful, and is going to add to their bottom line. And so to do that, we got to get straight to the economics of it. And it would be the same conversation if I was going in talking to anyone. Like that's the conversation we need to have.
So you have all this great impact and a lot of values-based reasons for doing what you're doing. But what I'm hearing is you want to show proven financial returns, and you have a strategy for that without question. And that's really what people need to understand about Walkstar and about Gayle Jennings.
Yeah. Another thing we talk about and we help people understand is the exit. So in some ways, getting into a deal isn't that hard. The guys at Alibaba didn't call me to get into the Alibaba deal 5 years ago, right? Zuckerberg didn't call me when he was first starting Facebook. So, let's take it with a grain of salt. There's some deals that I didn't get asked to be in. But for the most part, there's such a herd mentality still in this space. And when you hear about a deal, they're always looking for more folks. So you can get into some good deals, right? It's not that super, super hard. You can get into some deals to get networking, get talking and all that. The hardest thing is to get out of a deal, exit. So that's really where my superpower comes in, is the exiting. And that's when I turn on my M&A muscles. And we have that conversation right from the beginning. And here's a funny thing. Women are very practical. Women business owners, CEOs are very practical. So when we look at deals, we have that conversation from the beginning. Hey, what does exit look like for you? How long do you want to build this? What valuation do you want to get out at?
Yeah.
We start that before we've even written a check.
Yeah.
I had a meeting the other day with one of our investments, and I said, you've been at this a while. How many more years you got in you? How much more value do you want to create before you unlock it? We have real conversations.
Yeah, that's fantastic. If you look into the future in 5 years, maybe 10, what is the future for Walkstar and Gayle? What do you hope will have changed, or where do you want to be?
Great question. One, I always think about succession in leadership. And everyone on my team, I think about the role they're going to be in 5 years and how what they're doing today is leading to that. Now, they may not all be at Walkstar, but I know they're all going to be somewhere in this ecosystem. So one thing I want to see in 10 years are this amazing group of men and women either leading new parts of Walkstar or in other places leading other parts of the ecosystem. That's one. The second thing I want to see is I want to see people coming into these funds like ours and investing in the sisterhood and the community that we represent because they've heard of the money other people have made in this space.
Yeah.
And it's not because they're women, it's not because they're underrepresented, they're not of color, but it's like, hey, I heard these 4 companies had unicorns and major exits and 5x and 10x. And so I want more money to flow that way because of those types of statistics.
All right, you heard it right here. This is how we all make money. And who better to invest in than you with your unbelievable background and the position that you're playing in. I feel like we could go on for another hour. You are
I love
so,
talking to you. I could go on for an hour too.
oh, believe me, this has been such a gift. How can people find you?
Walkstar.com is our website. And then LinkedIn. I'm always on LinkedIn, so find me there.
Do you have a parting word of wisdom that you can give to women, either fund managers or entrepreneurs?
I do. And it's that we can create the future that we want.
Yeah.
And we can invest, and it doesn't always require a check. I
Yeah.
mean, you allowing me to have this conversation and connect with your community is you pouring into me and my community. That's an investor. That's what investing looks like.
All right. Well, you gave me chills when we started, in the middle, and at the end. Thank you so much, Gayle Jennings.
Thank you.